So you got married in 40. My mom was born
42.
in November of 42.
And Jim was born in 44.
Do you remember when you it was probably different then when Addison was born. We had the home pregnancy test and we knew pretty quick when we were pregnant. Do you remember
No.
figuring out that you were pregnant?
No, I kind of thought we had some really good friends that Jim knew from Missouri, and Ross and Lucinda. Well, Lucinda was pregnant and was going to have a baby about 3 or 4 months before me, and somehow or other, Lucinda would get with me and kind of, we'd kibitz, and she'd tell me what she thought, and she got me steered to going down to see the doctor that she was going to. We lived in Tahunga, but we went to Glendale when I finally went to the hospital. I went to a hospital in Glendale, and that's where Kay was born, was in Glendale. But I remember Lucinda and she had her baby, it was a boy. I'd say maybe 4 months earlier, and she was kind of briefing me along the way and cluing me in with what way it might be. But as far as having any kind of, you had no pregnancy test, no nothing. You were kind of on your own.
No prenatal care, really. You were just kind of playing it by ear.
I'd say maybe the last 6 weeks or so you might have had some attention, but prior to that it was kind of skimpy.
And that's still out in California, right?
Mm-hmm. We lived in Tahunga.
How far was Tahunga from L.A.?
Oh, probably 20 miles. But we went down to Glendale, which was 10 miles from Tahunga was Glendale to the hospital.
Why'd you guys pick Tahunga?
Well, Jim was working at Lockheed, and it was in a residential, Tahunga was kind of residential area that provided some halfway good, a good area to live in and still close to work. So to go on down to Burbank was only maybe 5 or 6 miles, 6 or 7 at the most. So it was just kind of close to work, and we found this house and liked it, bought it. We lived there and enjoyed living there.
That was the house you paid $1,200 for?
Yeah.
Grandpa, do you remember when Grandma told you that she was pregnant with my mom? Do you remember that, or does it stand out?
No, it didn't.
I don't really recall that it was how we experienced it, but I do remember being with Lucinda though, and her trying to keep me kind of halfway informed.
So she kept you in the loop.
Yeah.
So did you have to go to the doctor and get confirmation that you were pregnant?
I think so. I think I finally set up an appointment and went to a doctor, and then said, but I was probably 4 or 5 months pregnant by that time.
It was pretty clear at that point.
Yeah, definitely. So.
Do you remember? My mom was born on November 30th, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember? What do you guys remember about that?
Well, it was in the middle of the night. We went took a trip down there, and no real problems. We just went down there. And
so your labor started, and you knew.
Yeah, and we knew it was time to go, and we went. And I really had no particular problem at all.
Did they use ether, or did they use any kind of drugs at all?
They may have used, but very little or none at that time.
So you were just.
You're on your own. So, but no, but when Jim was born, the middle of the night we got up again and knew it was time to go to the hospital. Went back to the same doctor in the same hospital. We dropped Kay off at some friend's house and went on down, and he was born very quickly, and I kept saying it's happening too quick, but Kay was not that way, but Kay still wasn't drug out like sometimes.
Do you remember how long you labored with my mom?
Oh, maybe 8 hours at the very most. Would be no more than that, and maybe not that much. It was not that. The only another thing that stands out in my mind is the fact that at that time, where they kept you in bed and they kept you down, and you didn't get out for 7 to 10 days after you had a baby. Well, now that's different.
Now you're up and about. What do you remember about when my mom was born?
That he was
Oh.
thrilled. He was thrilled.
Yeah, and
You couldn't have found a happier person. He was
she,
thrilled.
after found out that Zella was all right, and then seeing Kay, she was the prettiest baby I'd ever seen in my life.
Oh, she was. She was a
She
pretty
was a beautiful baby.
Did you guys have a name picked out before she was born?
I don't know if we did. Well, I think so. I think we more or less did. I know I did with we did with Jim, because I said to, after he was born, we talked about it, and Jim said something about the name, and I said, well, we'll, like we talked about, we'll have it Dennis James. And Jim said to me, no, we're not going to have it that. We're going to have James Dennis, which was the logical thing, and that's what we did. No problem. That's what we did right there. That was settled.
Where'd Dennis come from?
I really don't know. I just had that in my mind. But I'll tell you where my name came from. And I heard my mother tell that many times, that her best girlfriend's name was Zella. And after she moved away, left Utah and came to Nebraska, she thought about her many times, and she thought she was going to. She ended up by not naming Hazel, or skipping it then, but she decided she was going to have somebody named after that friend, because it was the dearest friend of my mother. So
Where'd Kathrine come from?
I don't know. I really don't know. It's just a name.
And Irene?
Well, my mother's name is Martha Irene, and mine is Zella Irene, and Kathrine Irene. So Irene was just accepted.